hard times. I think that's what you're wondering, right? You're wondering about the hard times that you have now and how they align with your purpose. Let me clarify you the way I see it. I've been building For the Love Studio for a while now. It's been a journey. It's been like a decent and good journey with certain challenges attached to it. But one of the things that I can say you for sure is that through this journey of like developing the project and taking setbacks, taking the hard times into my road, I developed one of the things is resilience to the challenges. It might sound so general, because people are tend to say like, you're not the first one who's saying that. What do you mean by resilience? But let me clarify for you. It's like I developed such a high resilience for myself that now, even if the baddest things are coming into my way, I already adapted them. Like what I mean, I adapted them mentally. Mentally, I know that it's just like it's gonna be onto me. Like I don't expect easy things to come into my life. I always expect like the most difficulties, tragic outcomes that I can see from this life, right? It might sound stupid because like, why would you be like in full of your mind thinking about the bad things that like coming to your way and be happy about them? This isn't making any logical sense, right? Because like, why would you focus on them? Because like they are kind of like against your purpose, right? One of the things that made me realize is that if I look for the hard things in my life, now I adapt my mindset to the difficulties, and I can say myself that this is just a part of the journey, and this is the part of me building this journey, right? So if I adapt myself to the easy things, then the easy things gonna come to my way. But that's my thing, is like I always adapt myself to the hardest challenge onto the road, because I know like the way I see myself, the way I see For the Love Studio, the way I see developing the project is always going to be a challenge onto my way, right? It might be easy to say, right, that all is going to be smooth, like the people that I'm working with, the journey that I'm developing is going to be smooth, right? I'm not going to have setbacks. I'm just going to go and flew for them. But no, it's certainly like a setback that I'm developing onto, like I'm having onto my ways. But I also developed my mindset towards this, right? Like I developed my mindset towards understanding that this is just a part of it, this is just a part that I have to take into account, that in order to be great at something, in order to be good at developing this company, I have to fail more times than I have. I saw this video a couple days ago, right? Michael Jordan saying this thing that, like I missed 300 shots, I lost 26 games or more, I think more, right? But I still came back strong, right? And that's how I think you're supposed to have this, right? As an entrepreneurial, as the person who's developing the brand, you're just supposed to like have your mindset to be sharp as much as you can. Things are going to be difficult, things are going to be not smooth, things are going to be this way because they're just supposed to be. But like, one of the things that you can develop into yourself is ability to have this resilience, ability to have this full sharp mindset to go forward for the difficulties and always know that you stand out for something, right? And it's not gonna be quick and overnight mindset shift, right? The change are gonna come for you like later, right? But like one thing that you cannot give up onto yourself is that ability of just knowing that whatever you're building now, whatever you're trying to achieve with your project now is gonna come. Up to you to figure out the role model that you're trying to use. Like the role model is like navigator, like a Google Maps that you're using into. If you're using that Google Maps navigator bad, the bad outcome's gonna come. If you're using that Google navigator good, the good outcome's gonna come, right? This is all about the choice and change. And one of the things that I always face in my journey, right? I never had like, let's say, this passion of being like a fashion designer, right? Or this passion of being like a founder. Because in my early journey, I was developing my project called Tech Shop, right? I was always focusing on like, how can I make my music career better? How can I sound better? How can I impact more people? But overall, like I started to grow up. I started to seeing more things in my life. I started to seeing the changes coming. I started to seeing my identity shifts. And one thing that I realized that, all right, the part of the journey that served me with like not resilient mindset, with quicking up, being quick to fail, being quick to quit, being quick to just not doing anything that will get me back to track is gone. Like I cannot rely on this version because in the time of I'm living now, in the time of like me building the company, this version of me isn't serving me well. So what I have to do? I have to only change one thing, change my perspective to this, and change the way I understand the perseverance and resilience. If I understand these two things well, then I guess the next change that gonna come to my way not gonna impact me at all, because I understand that my mindset now is focusing on like knowing that the resilience are gonna come my way. So it's up to me to know that, and it's up to me to do that. If I'm still gonna keep my old identity that is not adaptable to resilience and like shifts and like failures, then I'm not gonna end up anywhere, right? That's all the life perspective that you have to change, and that's how you should view it. Like, you should view it from the perspective of like, all right, what can I do to change my perspective? What can I do to just be better human being? What can I do just to being able to shift my identity towards the right purpose, right? Because if you don't shift it and you like rely on the old version of you, then I guess nothing gonna change. And it's fair to everyone, right? The old version of you and like the not able to resilient AK version to you is not able to take the challenges into. And you can't rely on that version, because initially that version will get you to the trouble, right? And what I mean getting you to trouble is, I mean like, you will not be able to adapt to the circumstances that you have. Up to you to understand that the trait that you have to change into you, which is like trait to resilience, trait to be like able like to not go for a failure, is only up to you to develop that. So if you develop that model, if you develop that model in the right way, then you're gonna have the things in order to you. Let me share you my story, right? I always like felt like a failure at some point of making music, because time was there, the music quality I say was there, and I'm still developing music. I'm not like, I haven't quit yet, and I'm not gonna quit as long as I alive, you know, because I like this thing, and it's just like part of me interviewing the artists. Also, like lately I understood that this is just a part of like passion into you, right? Developing the craft. But whatever, back to the track, right? It's like I always like understood one thing, that, you know, like in order for me to get myself on this journey and etc. for the Love Studio journey, I have to understand that the part of me, old part of me that is not able to carry this type of like pressure that comes into my way, isn't going to be alive. It's going to be done and gone and whatever left over. But like, that's part of me that, you know, like I understand that this is part of me, and this is like trait that I have to keep into myself until I'm building this company, until this company is going to build up and it's going to be a good trait that saves me from not being able to adapt to bad challenges. Because I know for a fact, if I have this trait into myself, this is my superpower, because I'm just gonna override any challenge, you know, whatever the challenge comes into my way. This trait, I developed it. And I think from my own perspective, not to brag, I actually developed that skill. I actually developed that skill of like being fully resilient towards the challenge, right? I felt so many times, I can't even count. Like, I'm a biggest failure in the room sometimes that I am entering into, because really it is like it is. It's like I can't brag about anything in my life yet that most people would brag. Like, yeah, I'm smart guy, I know things, I know stuff, but like, I'm still developing myself, right, as a journey, as part of it. So that's how you have to have this mindset by developing the project. You can take this perspective to everything, right? To like, I don't know, being a doctor, being a doctor is a journey, right? It's a long journey. People go to universities for this for like 4 more years, right? But like, it's just example. But like, any like type of entrepreneurship requires you to have this resilient trait of resilience, and trait of like grit into you that don't allow you to fail for the setbacks, because you just start to take things, like you start to take everything as a setback, and it's like you're getting feed by the setbacks. You like, I expected that, you know, like that's how you have to think, not the other way around. In my own perspective, that's what changed my identity. That's what brought me the shift to my journey of developing the For the Love Studio, right? AK being on this journey. But you know, that's how it is. But I'll see you in the next video. That's nothing else to say. It was a journey. It was a time, but I'm still developing it, and I'll